Full transparency, I don't really like this movie. I don't know if it's just because of the way the culture has exalted it as one of the greatest cinematic masterpieces, giving me unrealistically high expectations that the movie was never gonna meet, or if it's just because the titular main Godfather character guy literally does nothing cool throughout the whole movie besides get shot, die, get sick, then die again. The fuck was all that about? I thought that guy was supposed to be cool. That was not cool. Also, tell me exactly how I spent close to 3 hours with this group of people and ended up not developing even an iota of emotional attachment to any one of them. I mean, they're all cool people, but I honestly didn't give a fuck if any of them lived or died. The interpersonal squabbles was kinda uninteresting, the action was very lackluster, and the high point of the movie for me was when Mike saw a girl he liked and married her in like 2 days, but then she got killed 5 minutes after the wedding, so fuck me, I guess. My Apollonia! Look, I'm very willing to concede to the fact that this film wasn't made for me. Up until 5 seconds after it ended and I saw the credits, I thought this shit was a Martin Scorsese movie. So, I don't exactly think I'm the core demographic here. But, despite my lack of unending praises for this allegedly great movie, I do believe that its first 27 minutes is one of the most well-written, well-shot and well-edited pieces of cinema that I have ever seen. It's quite literally a masterclass in visual storytelling that basically tells you exactly what's gonna happen in the rest of the movie. It also includes a big mistake that the Godfather makes which costs him the life of someone he loves dearly later on in the film. And it also leads to the creation of a great meme. But enough foreplay, let's lube up and get right into it. Pause? The movie starts out with the Godfather's daughter's wedding, and it's a well-known tradition that a Sicilian can never reject a request on his daughter's wedding day. So, Vito Corleone, the Godfather, starts getting completely inundated with opportunistic businessmen now take advantage of this tradition, seeing as how he's a very powerful man with a lot of deeply rooted political connections that can quite literally move mountains for him in his sleep. This is the entirety of the 27-minute sequence that we'll be analyzing today. The first person we see him attend to in his very dark, very ominous, very dimly lit office is a man called Bonacera who owns a funeral home and clearly has some history with the Godfather. He starts telling him how his daughter got beat up by her boyfriend and his friend because she refused to let them run a train on her, and now she looks horribly disfigured. In the middle of telling this story about his daughter getting brutally beaten like an animal, Bonacera starts crying and the Godfather signals someone off screen. Because of societal conditioning, we expect them to bring Bonacera a tissue or something of the sort, but he just hands him a glass of alcohol, almost as an indirect way of saying, "Hey bro, quit being a bitch, shit happens, now stop crying over the fucking floor." This character trait of the Godfather being irritated by a grown man crying is expanded upon later when another grown man cries in front of him and he just slaps him around and starts making fun of him. What can I do? What can I do? Anyway, Bonacera asks Godfather for justice because the judge basically gave the boys a slap on the wrist and sent them home with like 0 consequences. Godfather, presumably because of the aforementioned history together, busts his balls for a bit, then agrees to help him in exchange for a favor that he cannot refuse. Now, this particular interaction is quite poetic because later on in the movie, when his son, Sonny, the guy that served Bonacera the shot of alcohol, dies as a result of getting fucking massacred by a bunch of bullets, Godfather takes his body to Bonacera's funeral home and tells him to use all his skills to make his face and body look presentable so his mom, the Godfather's wife, can have a nice open casket funeral for her son. Funny how they both ended up helping each other with their respective child's cosmetic related problems. After Bonacera goes on his merry way, we go outside into the wedding reception where the core family members are about to take a group family picture, but the Godfather puts a stop to it because his son Michael isn't there. This is the first indicator we get for the Godfather's favoritism towards his youngest son Michael, which is weird because he actually chose to enlist in the army instead of helping out with the family business. Real quick, going from left to right, we have Tom Hagen, his wife hidden beside him, and their kids. His last name isn't Corleone because when they were kids, Sonny found him on the street and Godfather decided to take him in as one of his own. Now he's a lawyer that serves as an advisor to the family. Next to him, we have Freddie, the second son of the family. He doesn't really do much, and for good reason too. Next to him, we have Carlo and Connie, the soon-to-be not-so-happy couple of the evening. He's a serial woman beater and she's an immature spoilt brat. Carlo also ends up being the one that sells that Solozzo to Sonny. What? Carlo also ends up being the one that sells out Sonny to Solozzo, but we'll get back to that later. Next to them, we have the Godfather and his wife, who he literally never talks to throughout the whole movie. I honestly never even knew he had a wife until he definitively mentioned her in the funeral parlor. And then we have Sonny, the eldest son, his wife, and their kids. He mostly just orders people around after the Godfather gets shot and cheats on his wife with a slightly less attractive lady. Alright, let's get back into it. We get another glimpse at this professional treatment towards Mike later on in the movie when they tell him that Mike was the one who shot Solozzo Solozzo, the guy that tried to kill the Godfather, and now he has to head out in Sicily so they can work to clear his name. The moment Godfather hears this, he gets angry at the fact that they put his favorite son in danger and basically tells everyone to fuck off. This all comes to a head when he names Mike as his successor, even though he's the youngest and most inexperienced of his children. But if we're being totally honest here, he really was his only logical option, a fact which is also made clear to us in the first 27 minutes of the movie. Tom Hagen is too calm, too relaxed, too level-headed, and just way too much of a diplomatic bitch to take matters into his own hands and do what must be done. A fact which is made evident by how he keeps trying to peacefully negotiate with Solozzo throughout the movie, and vividly foreshadowed by how he mostly functions as an errand boy in those first 27 minutes. Freddy is way too incompetent, seeing as how he's the only one that visibly can't handle his liquor at the wedding. He also fumbles his gun when the Godfather gets shot, and when he gets sent to Vegas to learn the casino business, he gets slapped around in public by the owner because he kept trying to fuck all the waitresses. And Sonny is definitely not your guy because, despite being the first son, making him the logical and legitimate successor, bro is just way too much of a fucking hothead with a short fuse that almost starts a war after the Godfather gets shot and he's left in charge. This is also foreshadowed in the first 27 minutes by the speed at which he fucks another woman merely 2 seconds after his wife pisses him off at the wedding. Oh yeah, and he also dies shortly after his dad makes it back from the hospital, so there's that. Shortly after the JPEG mobsters get disbanded, we meet Paulie, one of the Godfather's low-ranking enforcers, and we see him getting berated by Clemenza, one of the Godfather's heavy hitters, as he brings him some wine. This shows us where Paulie ranks in the dominance hierarchy of the family. Later on, we see him envying the stack of cash that the soon-to-be not-so-happy couple are accumulating, as he talks to himself about how he'd have stolen the bag if this wasn't his boss's daughter's wedding. A combination of his slight mistreatment and his love of money perfectly sets up his big Judas betrayal moment when he sells out the Godfather to Solozzo later on in the movie. It's also quite poetic how Clemenza gets to be the one who takes care of him after they figure it out. Oh, nothing to see here, just a rare clip of the Godfather interacting with his wife for the first and last time in this entire 3-hour movie. Seeing as how the Godfather invited a bunch of his mob boss friends to the wedding, the FBI are here to do recon, so Sonny spits at them, breaks their camera and throws a bunch of money on the floor for them to replace it. Classic Sonny. We see Barzini as he sits and lurks from a distance, not wanting to be observed himself as he too breaks the FBI's camera. This is very calm foreshadowing for when he starts silently supporting Solozzo from the shadows as he tries to take down Corleone because he doesn't want to help him out with the new narcotics venture. That's the whole premise of this movie, by the way. One mob boss wants to start selling drugs, but the other mob boss refuses to help him out with the political connections because he's content with his gambling and prostitution businesses, so the first mob boss tries to kill him. That's it. That's the whole plot of The Godfather. I wanna sell drugs. Help me out. No. I then die, bitch. The fuck? After Mike walks in with his girl, we see Luca Brasi, another musclehead that works for The Godfather, as he practices the appreciation speech he's gonna give The Godfather for surprisingly inviting him to the wedding.
Dankalo, I am honored and grateful that you have invited me to your home on the wedding day of your daughter.
That man over there is talking to himself.
Even after all that practicing, he still fucks it up on the delivery.
That you have invited me to your daughter's wedding. On the day of your daughter's wedding.
But I guess this is just a nice prelude to the horrible acting that gets him killed when the Godfather tells him to infiltrate Solozzo's gang by pretending to be unhappy with the Corleones. Can you tell I'm trying so hard to not use the word foreshadowing for the millionth fucking time? Way before his meeting with Luca Brasi and shortly after he shuts down the family picture, Sonny squeezes the cheek of some girl. She smiles at him, presumably because they have some history together. He goes on to tell his wife to watch the kids. She responds like this.
Well, you watch yourself, alright?
He takes his anger out on the poor FBI man's comically large camera. Jeez bro, that thing's big as fuck. Go get yourself an iPhone or something, god damn! He relaxes a bit, whispers into that girl's ear from earlier to meet him in the upstairs bathroom and fucks the shit out of her because fuck his wife, I guess. Or not?
Hey, I'm gonna knock you, bitch.
Classic Sonny. Hey yo, real quick, I'm sick right now, so if my breathing in and out doesn't sound as sexy as it normally does, That's why I ain't got no fucking nose, bro. It's clogged up right now. But right before he fucks the shit out of her, Johnny Fontaine, this apparently well-known singer, walks in, sings a song, then cries to the Godfather because he wants a role in a movie that will revive his career, but Disney, I mean Walt, won't give him the parts. This gives us a great segue into Mike as he explains to his girlfriend the audience's point of view for the sequence, how his family operates and runs their business. He tells her how his dad once saved Johnny's career and freed him from a bad record deal by making his contractor an offer he couldn't refuse.
My father made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Well, that doesn't sound menacing at all.
Luca Brazzi held a gun to his head, and my father assured him that either his brains or his signature would be on the contract.
He then immediately communicates to her his disapproval of his family's methods, which I guess is another indicator for his credibility as the next logical successor. You know, that whole thing about the guy who wants power the least being the most psychologically equipped to handle it. To handle it. Where the fuck did that accent come from? To handle it. You know, that whole thing about the guy who wants power the least being the most psychologically equipped to handle it. There it is again, that accent to handle it. Where does that keep coming from? Anyway, Johnny requests to get that role in the movie, fairly set him up for the end of this movie when he signs an exclusive deal to perform at the casino with his Hollywood friends after the Corleones take over Las Vegas because Bazzini is hustling them out of New York. And shout out to that one kid in the background who looked so confused when the girls were screaming all because some guy was singing a song on stage. He later assigns Tom Hagen to give this Walt guy an offer he can't refuse.
In a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
It's too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
But before Johnny balls his eyes out and Sonny empties his balls, Fredo drunkenly walks over to meet Mike and his girl. Damn one here kisses her on the lips and looks quite disappointed when he finds out that she's actually Mikey's girl.
This is your friend, huh?
Alluding to his insatiable lust that ends up embarrassing him at the end of the movie.
He was banging cocktail waitresses 2 at a time. Players couldn't get a drink at the table.
Classic Sonny. I mean Freddy. Also Freddy, Fredo, Mike, Mikey, you know, same shit, you know what I mean. Towards the end of the sequence, Tom Hagen asks if Carlos should be given anything important and the Godfather explicitly tells him to keep his new son-in-law away from the family business. A grave mistake that I believe leads to the death of his son later on in the movie. If they had just brought Carlo in and made him feel like a core member of the family, his loyalty to them would have been much stronger. He wouldn't have sold out Sonny and he would have definitely thought twice before he put his hands on their sister. So this scene...
Now, your new son-in-law, we give him something important.
Never. Give him a living, but never discuss the family business with him.
is the first nail in a string of nails.
I'm gonna put you in 7th position for 70 minutes, you get it, babe.
No, not that one. In a string of nails that makes up Sonny's coffin. I don't know. I was trying to do it like a spin on that final nail in the coffin line, but it didn't work. The scene foreshadows and sets up Sonny's death. There, are you happy? We get some setup for their tumultuous meeting with Solozzo. They finally take that family picture. Again, get a fucking iPhone, bro. What the fuck? Godfather dances with his daughter, and the next day, Tom Hagen goes on to traumatize an old man. Subscribe to my Patreon for Weko's Echo. That's my Patreon exclusive weekly podcast where I review movies, answer your questions, and react to Reddit stories. Well, this was fun. Subscribe to the Patreon, link in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next analysis.